Okay, good afternoon everyone, and welcome. This is a new installment on the LifeSpace program. So a quick introduction for those of you who will maybe assist for the first time. We are organizing every week a talk with professionals in interior design mostly. You can take it broader into architecture. This is AINB concept. That's the Association of Interior Architects of Belgium. And we decided to share experiences and stories and talents through these interviews, weekly interviews. So let me maybe give you a little word about AINB. Who's organizing this. So that's the Interior Architects Association. I will put it up on the screen. And we are basically an organization that is trying to promote both interior design, but also trying to feed professionals, upcoming interior designers such as students, with interesting information, with events, also to give some administrative and technical advice, and like I said, promoting visibility of talent. So we came up with this idea of LifeSpace, in which we divided the content in, let's say, two. 1 week we are talking with professional interior designers that are working and part of the AINB, and they are working in Belgium. And every other week we are meeting with experts in specific fields around architecture and interior design. So we've had some already. This is the third talk with experts. The first one being with Benjamin van der Velde. Benjamin from Light. That was a very interesting talk, but on a more technical approach. Today we'll be meeting with Sabine De Schutter, which will be a different one, more about concept, more about giving an interesting insight on how to conceive projects with light. And 2 weeks ago we met up with Wout Hogendorn, expert in glass, which showed us some amazing projects that he has worked on. So we will be calling very soon Sabine and start this talk with her. I will maybe go through a couple of images before we go right there, and she'll be giving us some information, sharing her experience and how she works with architects, with interior architects on projects. So let me maybe call her right now and invite her in. There she is. There you go. So this should be working, and we should have Sabine coming any second now. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi. Can you see me?
No, nice to have you with us. It's really a pleasure. I'm particularly interested in this topic, as I find that light is it's really one of the things that can make or break a project. And to have this interview with someone who has really a very specific view on this, such as you, it's really great. So maybe you can start off to tell us, how did you fall in love with light? Why are you in this specific business?
Yeah, well, fall in love with light, I think it really started long ago. I think it's somehow also nurtured by my parents who were photographers, and this awareness of light was there already in the family, I would say, with stand here to have this better picture or something. So that happened, and then I think there were key points, well, in my life, in my studies, that led to the fact that I thought architectural lighting design is really something where I think I can do this core idea what I have. Like I got into interior architecture because I wanted to create space and atmosphere, and I think I believe I got into lighting design because I want to create better spaces for people, that they feel well, that they, I mean, this all these emotions attached to the space, and I believe there were some key moments like visiting the House of Harta or a specific museum, up to then a workshop in Belgium at the University of Antwerp, that I really led to the fact that I said, okay, this is the thing where I have to go further. So yeah.
Because I think you have a specific set of training, right? You didn't. I mean, you have a background in interior design. Obviously, has given you the sensibility, a first set of sensibility, I would say, to work. Well, already in interiors, but you don't only do interiors in terms of light, you also do, and we will be looking at that later. So this is one of your trainings. What are the other things that you have done in your before you started your career?
Yeah. So yes, interior architecture I did in Belgium, and so from there I worked a bit in the field at studios in Antwerp, and then I went to Germany to Hochschule Wismar, which is a small town where you can study architectural lighting design. So for me, it was really important that it has this architectural connection and is not just stage lighting or product design, but really focused on that. And then simultaneously, I got involved with the method of design thinking, which is, I would say, an overall design method that you can apply to business problems, to, I mean, all sorts of experiences, user experiences. And so now we draw on of this experiences, knowledge from architecture and from design thinking into our work. And yeah, that makes it fun, I would say.
How do you, so your main clients, are they architects? Are they interior architects? Do private, the clients come directly to you, architects? What do you describe them?
Good question. I think it's architects more know, or interior architects, exhibition architects, all of those professions know that lighting can be difficult or challenging to get right, or they have a vision. So then they come to us and ask for help to execute this vision, or maybe they want something else. There are also reasons why people come to us. Sometimes it are clients directly, but less. I would say, like, we also prefer to work with an architect in the team, because I feel it guides the whole project better. There's only a timeline, there is a design vision, key things that are necessary to, really integrate the lighting also in the architecture. You can't just do it parallel, because our approach is not just selecting luminaires. We believe that it's way more, and that it can design a whole visual experience and the appearance of a building. So therefore we would need an architect involved to be able to do so.
Mm-hmm. We will further on talk about specific projects, but in your methodology, in the way you work with architects or interior architects. How soon in the project are you integrated in this process? And maybe for that question, I guess sometimes maybe a bit late in the process, sometimes early. I guess you have. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, but it's unfortunately and maybe also positive, but or positive for us. We often get in the project because people have made mistakes, they've overlooked lighting, they haven't planned it, or it is there, and the users of an office complain about because the lighting is insufficient, or well, it glares, or in this space, the picture you're just showing, there was, it felt insecure in that space. So we often come in when there is an issue. And I see, unfortunately, because it limits the impact that we then can have. So we prefer to be in a project really at the beginning, because there is where everything gets molded and the design details can shift, or the budget isn't spent. When we get there in the end, then budgets are spent, and then it's about finding the fixture that gets delivered on time. And so that's a compromise on quality. So we tell that to our partners after we did maybe like a quick project, like bring us in further and we can do so much more, because for us lighting design is looking at the whole atmosphere, and that means also looking at surfaces, reflection values, textures, yeah, all elements of a space.
Mm-hmm. So it also means that you are in your collaboration is with a I'll just call designers, architects, or interior architects. Is broader than just the light. You're also proposing or choosing maybe materials, or sometimes having a closer thinking about form or surface with the architects, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Like today, I just had a meeting with an architect, and they're having like a functional block in an interior, and we were speaking about the color of this functional block, so this kitchen bathroom kind of element, what color comes above. They were saying, why not do something with mirror? And then we think straight of like, how does that combine? Would you see reflections? Does that disturb? Maybe you want to remove this top part, and then we go for black and matte. Yeah, and in another project, we just said, like, instead of having just like really flat walls, to work there with 3D textures and have like different kinds of, yeah, different shapes, different textures on the wall. And I think that, yeah, light is only visible when it reflects. So therefore, we should look at everything in the space.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Maybe I will take here an example. I'm trying to see through your images a project can give us some insight about. I'm just trying to select the right picture. This is, I think, a pre-designed picture before the project. Maybe you can talk to us a little bit about this one.
Yeah, so this is an office building in Berlin. This is like the before status, and again, it is kind of for us, we have this mission of creating inspiring spaces. I believe that offices have been overlooked for so many years as like, this is a functional space, you spent there all this time, and yeah, I believe this new way of designing offices is creating spaces of identity, corporate identity, community feeling, so really more social spaces, and light can do their or have there an impact as well. So for this project called Full Node, it's a co-working space for blockchain companies, so very digital, that very young, innovative, trying out new things in that field. And we, wanted to work with this idea of blocks and chains, their technology that they're doing, and incorporate that in a subtle way in this project. And specifically for this space that you're showing, which is the flex desk and community area where they have buffets on Thursday morning and YouTube events or like hackathons, that all happens there. So for us, it was also about balancing these needs of like light quantity to work plus the needs for a party lighting. So in this space are like 4 different settings for party lighting as well that they can choose from. Yeah. So that makes it a bit more fun. And this is a nice example of or this specific image of like how we try at least to work together very closely with the end user. If the end user is known, so this project, the architects brought us on board, said we want to do something different, and what could this be? So away from standard office lighting. But here, the specific idea came from the owner who started all of this, who said her biggest bug when it comes to lighting is with Zoom conferences, with things like this, that she felt that the lighting was very uncomfortable, causing shadows. So we created for these skyboxes Skype-friendly or Zoom-friendly lighting that can be adapted and that like evenly illuminates your face. So that's inspiration, which I think you only can get to that step if you really have this this interviewing, this interaction with the end client, and looking for their core needs.
Mm-hmm. I will at this point just remind everyone, if you have questions, don't hesitate in writing them. We will see them coming, and we will certainly ask Sabine to answer them. I will move on to another picture, which I find interesting, because I think as a designer, we have a lot of, we have a toolbox, which is our knowledge and experience. And when we want to when we create something, we have different ways. We come up with different ways on how to build, and we kind of manage. We know more or less prices, unless it's something really completely out of the box we haven't done before. But of course, our knowledge is limited in very specific items, and this could be lighting, could be an example. So how do you manage this? Because you have this experience with light and knowledge, and then when you given a very specific frame to work on, which can be budget, which is probably often budget, but then trying to come up with the right idea. How do you help architects with this?
Again, referring to this project that you're showing, which is still the office full node. For us, it was having this like wish from the architects that said, we want to do something different that you haven't seen before in offices, no standard lighting. Another thing is we don't need to reach the norms, but we need to create a comfortable space. So visually appealing, we have that, and then we have the budget and the timing. So to fulfill here everything, or to balance everything, I would say, we went here in this case for, I call it a semi-custom-made luminaire, because we work with components. It's like Lego blocks that you can put together, and profiles, or this system has like profiles and covers, stuff like that. So we can shape it in a whole different way. It is thinner than standard lighting. It hadn't been used in an office setting like this before, So you have a few things that, yeah, you know that it can do, but also it's like unexpected or like unknown. So for us, within the whole process, testing is really important. Testing light quality. I mean, like here, for example, we tested different covers to see, do we want it more like with microprism, that it has more like less glare and it's more directed down. In the end, we went for an opal, so a diffuse element to cover the LEDs because we found it in this case less disturbing, even though it doesn't reach directly the norms because you, how to say, because if it hasn't been built before, you don't have that measuring data. And then we do these measurements by testing it ourselves, by sitting under the lighting ourselves, by yeah, having the dialogue with the client if they like it. And yeah, so that is for us uniqueness by custom made, planning security by testing, and reaching budget by thinking outside of the box, probably.
Nice. Let's
Yeah.
talk about another project, which I think it's a Harry Potter theater.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Just finished, but actually not officially opened because of Corona. The opening was planned for, I believe, the 14th of March, and now it probably will be October. Yeah, for us, a very interesting project because you work with an insane professional team that is, I mean, they have this Harry Potter show, or it's like a brand. It's like Adidas. It is something that they have 7 other locations. The other locations like London and New York are way more classic. And here, this specific building is in Hamburg, in a very industrial part, next to the water, like harbor. So on one hand, containers and a wholesale market for fruit and veg, and then suddenly this kind of like, yeah, a little quaint or here we wanted to balance the Harry Potter brand, style, atmosphere, also like the atmosphere of the train station, and you see the wallpaper with the different Patronus on. And yeah, we wanted to do something magical. So in the end, it is a cloud that that moves through the space. That starts, as you see here, like very gathered together, and then yeah, twinkles around. The space itself is really high, as you can see, and we had to put in a structure. We thought about the structure, metal structure, and how to divide it, how to create a system that yeah, also meets budget, because doing tracks everywhere, like tracks, and then these lines are like hanging. Well, in the end, very technical. We did so many studies about the cable. So it maybe looks like, oh yeah, it's like a cable with a bulb. But we did so many tests in terms of like fireproofing this whole thing, because there are about 4,000 bulbs in 2,000 per foyer. And that just makes somehow a recessed ceiling and a fire hazard. And this is a public space, so we had to do all kind of like things to make sure it meets the norms. It's easy to install. It's okay to dim and program, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. From what I see in the images, maybe particularly this image, is that you are obviously using parametric design and tools. I guess also to be able to build in the smartest way, using the less cable. You were talking about cabling and find the structure, right? Yeah. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah. Yes. So, well, I think we started with sketches. We started with sketches, and then we went to SketchUp and trying to move things around. And just like after the 10 bulb, you notice that this is something we can't, right? This is too big, or the vision what we wanted to do. And so we went for a Rhino. We went for Rhino also because the architects were working with that, and there was this wish from the client to actually see the space in 3D with 3D glasses on. So that all brought us to that program, and it's been a super helpful tool because, yeah, it reduces time tremendously with something like this. We had to search for the perfect grid because, yeah, it has to look random, as you have it there more in the back. But in the end, to install and to hang it, because it couldn't hang on the ceiling, it had to hang on this substructure. We had to find a way and a grid that works. So we tested 30 on 30, 20 on 20, 50 on 50, and so on. And that just goes with this parametrics way quicker. So it's about designing a small program that you say, this is the lowest point, that is the highest point, and yeah, so then you see this whole chain of commands and what comes out. In the end, it's also really helpful to yeah, because we have two typologies. We have luminaires that hang directly from the structure down, and others that hang on a substructure, on some steel cables, again, to save costs and do all that. So the program really helped us creating lists to order, to do the tender, that wouldn't have been possible in an analog way.
Yes. Yes, this is we will probably be doing another expert interview, just concentrating on parametric design, because I feel that interior designers are not using this new way of conceiving and this new way of building enough, because it really helps on things. I think you illustrated well, and also budget-wise, it can really, I think, make an idea possible, which in a traditional way of thinking or building would probably be too expensive.
Yeah, too expensive, too much, like time constraining. So from the Rhino model, again, the model basically, you give these parameters, the model makes everything, and then you evaluate in 3D if that is the course you want. It generated not only the cable lengths that we needed, but also numbers. So in the end, like, we had to think of how does the installer know which bulb goes where, because we want to minimize the amount of work on site as well. So it's not that they on site put like the track adapter, the cable, and the bulb. That had to be all done in factories. That's been done in factories in Italy and then shipped over. So you have like so many numbers. In the end, we had, I think, 50 different types, and we gave them all a code. So in the entrance, there were boxes with all these codes referring to things on the plan. And again, this is a system by hand, or like analog, it would have been too long.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's another project which I'd like to talk about here. You sent me a nice video. I'm not sure I'm able to run the video, so let's maybe start off with one image.
Yeah.
So this is an installation, right?
Yes. Line installation that we've titled Your Point of View, because it depends on the viewer to seek interaction or not with the line installation, and yeah, it depends on the viewer what you see. So I think maybe if the movie runs, then you can see a bit more. Yeah.
So here we can have a view. I'll have to explain because I'm not, the video is not working. So this if you are centered to the axis of this sculpture, well, light sculpture, it's a perfect circles, like the image just before.
Yeah. So we had 3 installations, red, blue, and yellow one, and then a circle, triangle, and square. Yes. So it's Bauhaus inspired, that's, well, color and shape-wise. plus this idea from Bauhaus as well, that perception is a layered process, that we put shapes, primary shapes together in order to understand complex shapes. So from a side, as a blue one, it looks like something dissolved, something more sculptural, but it becomes a playful element. We've seen people like looking and standing and trying and going further, like frontward and backwards. And yeah, that is something that definitely, I mean, brings joy to us, to the team who developed it, to see like, yeah, these ideas, that these ideas worked. And it's been traveling around that installation to different light festivals, from the Bauhaus Week for the 100 years Bauhaus in Berlin, to now it's actually in Belgium. So yeah, looking forward that other people can see it there
Yeah,
too.
fantastic. What I also found interesting is faces in front of your model, but this is interesting how you worked, how you prepare the work, as we can see here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so in the beginning, well, it starts with a sketch. It starts with a scribble on a picture from a site visit, something like this. But the brief we got for this project was very broad. It was a lighting manufacturer who came to us and said, there's this fair in Frankfurt, Lighting Building, and we want to do something different. We don't want to have this small booth somewhere and like not be seen. So let's be part of the Light Festival. And it started with this idea on how can we guide the visitor and how can we attract people to like create curiosity that they come there. Because I think that is what fair booths also try to do. They try to attract, inspire. And then we got to this idea of doing something with lines, bit by bit. And here you see a first model. So you see kappa and then plexiglass and some cardboard elements sticked on this element. And then we could like test if it turns, does it work with the perspective? It was still really small, so. It was basically, this is what we had for the pitch to take to Frankfurt, to show the organization and say, we want to be on the Light Festival. What do you think? And yeah. Later we did it in AutoCAD with the perspective to make sure that the perspective really works. So building it there in 3D, and then together with the steel. So it's a whole steel construction, because it had to be like, vandal proof. Nobody can hurt himself on there. We had to see that people can stand on it without stealing it. So, there are some of those challenges. But yeah.
Very nice. Maybe before we move on to the next project, we can talk about layers. Yes.
Okay.
Architects, interior architects are some of us know what layers are about, or at least some of those layers. Maybe you could give a broader explanation on how you approach this.
So yeah, when we look at a design, and I think this ties in together with common mistakes we see as well. We often see spaces where there's just functional lighting, or just decorative lighting, so one of both. So we look at a space and we always try to work with a minimum of 2 layers. That is how the daylight is. So a lot of like how we judge and see artificial lighting ties together with how we see daylight. So on a bright day, a sunny day, we have sun, which is direct light, and the overall sky, which is diffuse. So in most projects we try, or like in most spaces, we try to do those both. diffuse, that can be indirect, it can be a light line. Direct can be a track, a narrow down light, an aimable spot, so something. And then I would say the higher end the project goes, the more layers we're adding. Then we add sparkle, we add detail. So it goes finer and finer depending. But like, if you give us, we're now doing a kindergarten, we want to have places that I can feel like, sure, these kids, they will feel inspired and it won't just be one diffuse mass. Because I think that is often when you see just a few spaces and nobody likes overcast skies. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I mean, I've worked with a few light designers in the past. I guess one of the things you will be looking at is the choice of materials. I guess there are maybe other things that you look at. Maybe you can give us some insight there.
Yeah, so things we also look at. So one is the layers of light. For us, it's very important, the experience of the space. So you come in, maybe let's say a museum. What is the first thing you want people to look at? Or in a house, is it going to be this big chandelier? What is the element? Because I feel that is the power of light. We can guide people, or we can guide the direction where they look at. We can hide and reveal stuff. So for us, it's about creating that story and a hierarchy of light. And I think that's something we can add to the table about helping people or supporting people to tell the story. And yeah, here, for example, this is an example of a museum in Berlin. This is the before image, and after, I don't know. Yeah, so here you see it's like everything is quite diffused, and you have this. I don't know. It feels very diffuse. And we try to change it by, in this space, we made a really big pendant that connects to the interior architecture, to the exhibition design, creating accesses through the space, so that there is this correlation between exhibition and architecture. And specific for this space also, it used to be, or we look also at the stories of the building. So in this specific space, we looked at what was it before. So it used to be a synagogue, and now it is a museum where they tell the history of the Jewish glory times in Berlin, and why this was their main synagogue, which of course because of everything that happened, and then it was left to ruin until I believe 1980. So yeah, it is of historical significance. And in this space, it used to be an outside space. The new chandelier that we developed also brings this component of daylight in, because it has dynamic light, indirect dynamic light, meaning that it changes to colder light in the daytime and warmer at night. So, yeah.
We have a question from Elke. She's asking, interior architects work together with a lot of specialists or experts. Do you work together with specific experts to improve your work?
Specific experts. Good question. Well, we.
I guess
need really good.
Are some of these could be. I mean, you have the designers, so architects, interior architects, or clients that come directly to you, and then you have other kind of. It could be from people working wood or stone or texture of light. So I guess the question is, it's on the other side of the people who are maybe more building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think well, we rely a lot on craftsmanship and on, I would also say, on manufacturers. Again, like referring to the picture that you're showing, those two chandeliers are yeah, they are made from glass, glass and brass. We custom designed them. So for us, it was finding this right manufacturer who still does glass. They are produced by a factory in, or like I would say, more craftsmanship. They're called Preciosa Lighting, and so they're specialized in glass. That was really important for us. And then here, this whole setup. So we helped with the concept and we designed those fixtures in specific. But this table is done by the exhibition designer. Then the concept with the light integrating, again, somehow our idea. But it all is tied together also by somebody that does the programming. Another party did the projection mapping. So it's really like, to get this picture, there are many parties involved. Yeah.
I think that's what makes it so interesting. It's all this collaboration of talent and knowledge. Time flies. I will move into our last project. I'm not sure the animation will work. If it doesn't, we will just show the image. This is a Melo project. So yeah. What is this project about?
Yeah, this is a school in Berlin, and it is just off a main street, which is called Potsdamer Straße. And the school somehow had the issue that nobody could find them, and it didn't really have a signage on their door, because it's at the same time a listed building, and there are like many regulations why yeah, this is not possible, or you have to, from a specific size, you need to get a building permit for this. And so we got this brief, like, do something, and we could choose where on the building we could do an intervention that would make them stand out. So we analyzed, we had some things higher up in the building in mind, but in the end we chose this niche because it used to be an entrance. It used to be an entrance, and then afterwards they put a statue there. By the time, like, we saw the building, that niche was the place where people sit and smoke and spray paint. So it was like yeah, never really in a good state. And so bit by bit we came to this idea of yeah, what will we put in there? It has to be some kind of slogan. It has to have a relationship to the school. So we thought to use the abbreviations of the school's name, which is Marie Elisabeth Lüders Oberschule, really long name, and we chose specifically that location to somehow refer to the entrance, to the statue, and at the same time play with the space, because it's a niche that didn't have a function that was there to more invite like spray painters. And yeah, maybe you can see from some of the pictures, we went for a 3D element, so that from a side it would again have this element of curiosity. We don't just want to do light, just as we don't just want to hang fixtures. We want to design, create curiosity, create creative spaces. And so when you pass by, you will see this letters unfold. And yeah, on top of that, we did further, again, like, not just thinking of light. Here in a specific niche, we also thought about on this podest, making this small element so people can't climb on it. We had to think of yeah, that it's vandal proof, that people can hang on it, and that it doesn't cause light pollution. So we looked at many different aspects, and yeah, got it to planning permission, because the Department of Listed Buildings in Berlin is really, really tough, I would say. You need to get their every hole checked. So this element, it are like folded steel elements. In the back, it's acrylic, acrylic with how to yeah, it's like waterproof LEDs on the back, and yeah, it has like the pins only go between the bricks. So if it's like demounted, then it wouldn't harm the building.
Fantastic. Well, it's been already 45 minutes. It's before we let you go, is there a domain, because you're obviously working on different things, interiors, exteriors, installations. Is there, do you have a preference in the type of work you do or projects that you tackle?
Difference. Yeah, I don't know. No, actually don't think so. Like, what we always seek or try to add in a project is, yeah, an element of creativity. We don't take projects on if it's just about functional lighting, because we believe it can be way more. So we don't do just street illumination. It has to be an intervention like the one you showed before with the colored shadows, which was one in Canada, where they said this street is underused and people feel unsafe. And then that is a type of project. And I think light is something that always reacts to the spaces that it's in, that our methodology in a whole can stay the same on how we tackle things, but the way that our projects will look will be different because of the nature of the architecture. So, yeah.
Very nice. Okay, I will have to stop here, unfortunately. Maybe we will meet up again in the future. Thank you so much for sharing this work with us. And hoping in the future, and like I said yesterday, maybe working together sometime.
Yes,
So,
yes.
thank you.
Thank you for the invite. And yes. Good. Bye.
Bye. Take
Bye,
care.
everyone.
There we go. Well, not too many questions. That's okay. Maybe next time. I hope you enjoyed the session. Next week, we're back to meet a designer team. That will be Florence de Waal from Maison Florale. She will be interviewed next Thursday at 6:30. So be sure to be there and not miss it. It will be very interesting also. And again, if you have any comment about it, don't hesitate. And I hope this was as interesting for you as it was for me. So I will leave you now. Thank you so much, and see you next time.